Hello, welcome to the Comic Binge. We're back again, finally, right, Chris?
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while. Well, it's gonna be a little more frequent nowadays that we're gonna get back on track here. I am one of your hosts, Paul Herman. With me is
Chris Clow. How's it
Wow.
going?
Yeah, well, pretty good. I haven't really talked to you really much.
I know, yeah. We've been it was Easter weekend, right? So
I just spilled Diet Coke on me. That's no change there.
I'll try not to spill Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar on you.
Wait. Dr. Pepper, man. I used to drink cherry Dr. Pepper like on the reg, like constantly.
Mm-hmm.
I probably got diabetes from it. to be honest, I probably drink it that much. So anyway, all right. So today's episode, we are going to be not diving into all of Future State because Lord knows I don't have enough money for that. You don't have enough money for that. The audience, unless you're rich or just wants to blow their money and not eat and just eat paper, doesn't want to, probably read all Future State, but whatever, or digitally or whatever you want to do. So today we're going to only cover, I think, the finer stuff. Maybe there's other stuff that's out there. It's pretty good. I've heard the Catwoman Ram V stuff was pretty decent, or V, whatever he goes by now.
Mm-hmm.
Is that his name?
I think so. I thought that was the guy that wrote Swamp Thing.
He is.
Okay,
but he wrote Catwoman too, I think.
He wrote Catwoman as well.
Yeah.
I didn't check out Catwoman, and I have Swamp Thing, but I haven't read it. So when we get to that, but I'll bring up a couple of other things too that you might.
All right. So here's the deal: we're gonna only go over Batman, Dark Detective, Swamp Thing, and then we're gonna get into the grand poobah of them all, Superman. So here's the deal with today. We're not going to go super deep spoilers because I want people to enjoy. I want people to, kind of do their thing, whatever. So, we're just going to kind of lightly go over stuff and just hang out. So anyway, Chris, we're going to start with, or actually before I even start that, I probably should say, if you're watching this, please hit the like button so we can get to that sweet YouTube algorithm. And I know there's probably only be like one or two people watching, but you know what? Hit the like button for me. I'd appreciate it. It just helps everything for whatever stupid reason. So anyway, get that out of the way.
Subscribe, hit the notification bell, all of that stuff, right?
So I feel like such a tool doing that.
Oh,
like,
I know,
begging for like likes and begging for people to subscribe. Please subscribe, please.
Look, hey, man. We're in the game. We got to play by the rules, right? That's
please hit the like button, hit subscribe. I want to leave my job so I can be a full-time YouTuber. That's not what I want to do, by the way.
We're not doing this for money.
If I wanted to do this for money, I'd be doing other things to basically get money. So
we'd be hawking ourselves, and just
I'd be like, Kathleen Kennedy needs to get fired. That's what I'd be saying right now.
Right.
And then I'd be like, Star Wars is the worst thing ever. Let me tell you why.
It's funny how you can avoid all the other stuff with her name on it, but just pick. Anyway, I'm not going to.
We digress.
We're not going to do that.
We digress. So anyway, we're going to go into Future State. And so, Chris, I for one, was not someone who's going to do Future State really at all. I was just kind of like, I'll get to it eventually. Mm-hmm. And I picked up Swamp Thing, which I'll get into Swamp Thing later, but I didn't have high hopes for the series at all.
Sure. And
one thing I was surprised about was I think the reaction from fans wasn't actually as bad and out the gate than I was anticipating. A lot of our brethren, our comic book brethren that we talked to on the reg, they were kind of, again, the Batman people, they were kind of saying positive things about both Dark Detective and the next Batman or whatever the heck it's called. So I guess for me is, I kind of came in with like, this is going to suck balls. And then, I kind of was surprised by a number of different things. I've heard a lot of it's kind of but we'll get into the reason why I didn't go deeper into the Future State stuff. But what was your kind of feelings going into the series?
Going into it, I just thought it was a gimmick, I mean,
well, it's all a gimmick. Everything's a gimmick.
Well, because DC did a weekly series, I want to say about 7 years ago now, 6 years ago, called Future's End, that was part of the New 52, that kind of tried to do like a forward in time, the characters are in wildly different situations concept on a weekly level. And I think Brian Azzarello was like the showrunner, so to speak. And I read like the first 3 issues of that and just never got into it, and what's the point of diving into this future, especially in mainline DC universe, when all of that stuff is going to be so fluid anyway?
Just
right?
ask the X-Men.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Or, I mean, any future story usually has a better place as something like an Elseworlds or What If, where a storyteller can come in and create what the history was leading up to this point in the future. Obviously, like the prototypical example of that is Dark Knight Returns.
So let me stop you there. So here's where what we need to get down to is, because I was going into Future State, I thought the death metal or whatever the heck that thing was going to lead into the series of Future State. It was going to basically, create it, but that's not the case. It just was it just, from my understanding, it was just some random thing. Is that incorrect?
Death metal kind of set the table just because it was death metal that restarted the infinite multiverse. So from the recreation of the infinite multiverse, sort of a new big bang that took place at the conclusion of death metal.
Yeah,
they were sort of given permission to basically say, here's DC Universe Reset. And the DC Universe now, as it is, in the regular monthly publication of the titles, is now what the future looks like. The present looks like it's always looked.
But Bruce Wayne, isn't it Bruce Wayne in like 20 years and he looks exactly the same?
See, I don't know if it's supposed to be that far down the line.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know either.
That part of it just seemed kind of amorphous. Like at least it was never really clear to me reading the books how far ahead it was supposed to be, because Bruce Wayne looks like he's always looked. Nightwing still has the same kind of a demeanor, and John Kent looks pretty close to how he looked the last time we saw him. So just the idea of like going into the future seemed really gimmicky. So I had 0 expectations, but I figured, I'm going to kick myself if I don't at least try and get most of the stuff that I would like to read for the characters that I enjoy. So I signed up for them, not knowing what the cover prices were going to be. And,
see, that's my next thing I was going to talk about. So
that was a hell of a surprise.
Yeah.
But then just to finish up before I hand it off to you, I mean, you always need, if you're going to try and pass judgment on something, best thing you can do is to actually give it a fair shake. And I think both of us have critiques of what the economics look like for this kind of a series. But when it comes to the creative side of things, I was far more interested than I thought I would be.
Yeah, here's my thing about Future State. I was excited to pick it up, but then I literally gasped at the price. Like, I literally was like, what is this? And so I immediately was like, nope, not doing it. And only reason why I picked up Swamp Thing was because it was, I think, the regular price of $3.99. Whereas everything else was across the board like $5.99 or whatever. And I credit them to trying to give you more bang for your buck with the whole backups and everything. But the problem is, when you do that, we don't know what we're going to get, one, and they're totally unrelated to the character that you're buying. At least from my standpoint. Like with Batman, there was like Katana and stuff like that. I'm like, there's not really anything with this. I have no interest. I mean, I think in the Superman books they had like Mr. Miracle or something, and I'm like, I like Mr. Miracle, but I don't buy a Superman comic to read a Mr. Miracle backup story. No. I know they're trying to get it all kind of fit together and promote, and I think that's a good idea, but you don't do that by charging us more to do that. It just doesn't work that way. You give us free extra pages to promote, get those characters out there. You don't do it to basically just put us over the coals and be like, you're gonna buy this anyway, so might as well spend the extra couple bucks on it. It's like, that's
well, and you notice which book had the highest cover price. was the one that was most likely to move the most copies.
Right,
I
of
mean,
course.
they knew exactly what they were doing, and DC does that a lot, and they're doing it now with the monthly book, right? The monthly book is going to bump up to $5.99 a month, which is tough, you know.
Dude, that's rough.
I mean, I have every issue of Batman going back to at least like 1984, I think. That's my signature series, and the idea of it jumping that high, it's a hard pill to swallow. I mean,
but isn't it also getting more pages?
It's getting more pages, and it's getting
backups.
It's getting a regular backup now. But how much of that is really justified, especially if people are going in reading it for the main story, for the feature story? You know, I mean, if people had a choice of having the regular monthly Batman title stay at $3.99 and or having two separate books, you know, then I think they would probably choose that the evergreen book that they're always going to be collecting. They're not going to want to pay an abundance of money for, and that might be a symptom of what's going on with DC right now with its new corporate structure. I don't know, but it's just kind of disheartening, especially for long-time collectors. Because it's not like the direct market. It's not like comic shops are having the doors blown open, you know?
No. And I don't know how I feel about it. I think they'll adjust accordingly as what people pay. If people stop buying and they don't, and there's a lot of complaints, and they'll adjust. If people are starting to just keep buying it, and there's not really like a one way or another, they're going to just keep doing it until whatever. I like the idea of backups. I really do. I don't mind it, but they have to be more, I think, tied with the character. Like there should be like it should be written by the same writer, maybe different artist, but give us more in that world or whatever that is. Like again, if you're buying Batman, have backup stories about Commissioner Gordon, for God's sakes. Don't give me a Batman and you're gonna back up of Katana. Like I don't want that. I mean, I like Katana, but I don't want to read about Katana when I buy a Batman book. I want to read about Batman and his world. Give me Batman characters. So anyway, let's get started with Batman. Is it the next Batman? Is that what it's called?
It's called The Next Batman, yeah.
Okay. The Next Batman, that's what we're going to start with, because I think that was the one I think most people were that was probably the most expensive, that and Dark Detective.
Dark Detective wasn't as expensive as Dark Detective was $5.99. I'm looking at it right now.
Okay.
And Next Batman was $7.99.
Oh,
for 3 issues.
Now, here's my assessment. Now, for those who are wondering, I did not buy any of the Batman, Dark Detective, or Next Batman books. I read them at his house. So I went over to his house and I read them. I literally read them. And I was my initial opinion of the Next Batman was a solid story. Didn't blow the doors off of anything. It didn't make me excited to go keep reading it. The first issue was good. It was probably the best, to be honest. But that's probably because the artist was great. I mean, like I as the book went on, the art got different. It wasn't bad, but it just wasn't the same. I just wasn't as into it. So there's the Next Batman. I felt like, again, there was some solid stuff there, but it just wasn't consistent enough for me to want to keep or to buy it and go out there. Like I have no ambition of buying a trade or anything. So that's kind of where I'm at. Like, and like, I like the character. Obviously, again, light spoiler. It's a Fox family member. Is it Tim Fox? What's his name? He goes
by Jace.
Jace. I have a nephew named Jace.
So do I. Really?
Yeah.
I have a nephew named Jace. That's wild.
Yeah, it's Morgan's cousin's kid. But anyway, yeah.
It's my sister's son. But still, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I get you. Yeah. So Jace Fox, there was interesting things in it, but in the end, the story just kind of meandered. I felt that's how I felt. I don't think it was bad. It just kind of meandered. I'm like, man, for showcasing this character of the Next Batman, it didn't really do much for, like a brand new character.
Here's what I liked about it. The Fox family And obviously most Batman fans are going to have a greater affinity or greatest affinity for Lucius, understandably so.
Yeah.
Is such an important part of the mechanism by which Batman operates in Gotham City that I like the idea of that family becoming more formally attached to the Batman operation in Gotham City. Because, Lucius, in various depictions from the comics into video games and movies and so forth, he's like adjacent, but he's not actually like directly involved. He's a little more involved in the Dark Knight trilogy, but most of the time, he's like a willing partner to help facilitate what Bruce is doing. The idea of making a Fox the next Batman, I thought was cool, and a deserved kind of graduation of sorts for someone who has the Fox name. This series, I think I liked it probably a little more than you did because I was honestly hinging most of my perception of what Future State was going to be on this because this was the first thing I read. To me, the character work was a lot stronger than the world that was created around it because the world that was created around it felt like it was ticking boxes, whereas focusing on the family dynamic, and it didn't really concern itself with saying how or why Jace came into possession of being the next Batman or the materials that would allow him to be the next Batman. But I like the character. And I think John Ridley is a great writer. So in terms of the character work specifically, I really enjoyed it. That being said, there were some other things that took place in Future State that kind of emphasized, to me at least, a little bit more of a perspective on what the dynamics are like for him to operate. And you didn't read this, but this was cool. This 2-issue Nightwing series. You can see in the second cover, they have a bit of a team up. It's like the dynamic duo back together, but it's not really the dynamic duo because it's not Bruce, but it is Dick Grayson. And having Dick have like a more senior kind of position in Gotham City was cool. And he kind of accepted the new Batman relatively fast because they both had to take care of something that was immediately in front of them. And seeing that kind of partnership, I'd like to see more of that.
Yeah.
But, for the most part, I don't necessarily disagree with you in terms of its staying power, I guess. But the character work I thought was strong. And if those characters were in kind of a better overall world instead of yet another like fascistic force that's taken over Gotham City that they have to fight against, that just seemed a little tired to me. But the characters were cool.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I just felt like the next Batman, it had like this cover here. I'm not sure if you can see this in all Chris, but
yeah.
This is the covers are really good for Future State. That's the one thing I will say is that they grabbed you, and that's one thing that's underrated. That's one thing that's underrated. I think in a lot of comic books today is that you can't judge a book by its cover, but in comic books, the cover needs to grab you and it needs to draw you in. And I think Future State did a good job of having the covers kind of do that, and I think that's really important. And I definitely dug it. I dug all this. So one thing I want to talk about is the art here. This is from the first issue, I believe.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, super, super, super solid stuff. Who was the artist again? Can you tell me the artist from the first issue?
Oh God, I have to look.
You have the issue right there.
Yeah, but I don't want to open it.
You suck. All right. Anyway, this guy, we talked about it when I read it. He did the layouts for the rest of the comic book. So he basically told the story for the artist to kind of, tell the story or whatever, but it's not the same guy or gal or whoever. But
Nick Darrington is his name.
Yeah. McDarrington. This art is great. Why couldn't they have this guy do all of Future State is beyond, or all next Batman is beyond me, because later on we get this, which isn't bad. Like this isn't like terrible, but it's not as strong visually. I think again, like the details and the characters just aren't as good, I think, in in this. And so when I go back to this, like this is the artist from issue 1. Look at this panel like breakdown. This is so good. Like I love this. And the Banes, that was really cool. I thought the Bane gang, I mean, that sounds really weird when you say it fast. Sorry. This is something that I think would be really rad to have in the comic books or now. Like this is to me rich storytelling that you could tell immediately, especially after City of Bane, which I haven't read yet, but I'm assuming has some kind of lasting effect in Gotham City. So I really like this. I hope this doesn't just kind of disappear in the wayside here. So I love this stuff. The first issue was the best, in my opinion. What's your take on? What was your favorite issue out of these 4 issues?
It was probably the first one, just because that seemed like it had the strongest character work. Mm-hmm. The art transition didn't bug me as much as it bugged you.
Yeah.
But I can see where you're coming from, because it is a pretty fundamentally kind of a different approach. I mean, because the layouts are by the same person, you could tell that there's sort of the DNA of storytelling in there. Mm-hmm. And the pencils that followed certainly weren't bad. They're just, it's just different. I guess you'd probably call it more traditional, right? Yeah. Because the pencils in issue number 1 kind of reminded me of like Francesco Francavilla, who did Detective for a little while, and he did Daredevil. And I guess it's like a more flat kind of 2-dimensional perspective. I mean, it's all 2-dimensional art, obviously, but there's a flatness to the way that like bodies were rendered. And in the following issues, it looks much more 3-dimensional. It looks more like a modern comic book. And the kind of throwback into a grittier kind of street level story for that first issue was really strong. The last issue I liked a little better than I thought I would. It still kind of leaves you on a cliffhanger, but it leaves the thing that's immediately in front of Jace resolved. Yeah. But it kind of ended abruptly, it felt like.
Here's the thing. For such a great looking character, I love the no chin, whatever you want to call it, chin guard, whatever.
Like the fully enclosed,
yeah. I love the fully enclosed mask. Again, the costumes actually are pretty cool. If you were going to redesign a Batman costume, I feel like this would work like now. You could probably sell this now to the main, or before this, obviously you could have sold this now to the mainstream Batman comic people, and they probably would get behind it for the most part.
It's kind of like an intermediary between what we know and Batman Beyond. Like, it's future state, right? It's the connective tissue between the two eras.
Why wasn't it just Batman Beyond Terry? I'm just.
I guess he's probably still in diapers by now. I honestly don't know.
He's still probably his sperms floating around somewhere. Let's be real. So,
well, I mean, I don't know what he's done in the comics, but in the original animed show, he was actually like a surreptitious clone of Bruce Wayne. But I don't know.
Well, for those 5 people, I'm gonna beg, please hit the like button for me so we can get more people. I can get to that sweet algorithm. This is so weird begging for likes. It's so
sliding into your algorithm.
Slide in that algorithm, please. All right. So as we depart from the next Batman, I'm into my new point system, Chris. I'm gonna give this series a good solid 3.1.
Okay.
It's not terrible. It wasn't bad. It just didn't grab me as I wanted it to. So
before we jump to the next main series, I want to briefly mention.
Moving on. Anyway, moving on.
This is like a mixture of both the top, but this is like Future State Batman Superman was like it was like an intermediate step between what we know and Future State. It was solid. Superman comes to Gotham, and
who wrote it?
Gene Luen Yang, and he wrote Superman and had John Romita Jr. as his artist as part of the New 52. And he did a pretty solid job. He actually followed the John's Romita run, and Yang took over Superman from him. And is kind of a weird concept for that point. In fact, Superman was wearing a shirt that looked like this in that part of the run.
All right, moving on. We don't
World's Finest. This is actually Bruce and Clark, so it was pretty solid.
there's only one other person in this universe that goes off on tangents more than me, and I'm sitting next to him over here.
It's not a tangent. Like I told you, there's other stuff that you haven't read.
And then, but you know who's worse than us? My friend Zach from the Spidey Dude podcast network, Spidey Dude Experience. Follow us on there. That guy, you just say one word, that dude just goes off in tangents. I love it. We could talk for hours about nothing. It's great. Anyway, moving on. We're gonna go to Dark Detective. This is gonna be really, really exciting. Dark Detective. So what's hold on. I got the picture, bro. Look. I got the picture.
Look, I got
it right here. Chris, I got it right here.
Sorry.
Okay.
You and your newfangled technology.
I got the technology. We got the tools. We got the talent.
We had a question. Do you need to read any Batman Beyond stuff to get into Future State?
No,
you do not.
No.
Batman Beyond is like 50 years in the future typically, and this seems like maybe 10 or 15 at most.
I mean, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
That's just a total shot in the dark.
Yeah,
that's what it seems like.
That's what it seems like. Yes. So anyway, Dark Detective. We've got Bruce looking all moany and all bitter. I guess I don't know. What would you even say this is? What he's doing here?
He's tortured. He's a tortured man.
He's tortured in the future. So
he's tortured everywhere. He's Bruce Wayne.
Oh God. Okay. So anyway, so we've got Dark Detective issues 1 through 4. This was interesting, to be quite honest. I didn't know what to really think about this one. It was okay. I felt like the art was the strongest of more than the writing was, but it wasn't. This is not something that I would say is predominantly was great, but it wasn't terrible. What's your take on that?
Honestly, this is one I was looking forward to more than the next Batman because Bruce was in it. You know, Bruce Wayne is the Dark Detective.
Is he though?
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, keep going.
Yeah, Paul.
I know.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to this one, and it was interesting, but it was really, really dependent on that larger world concept of like how things have changed, what the magistrate is, the entity that has basically taken over Gotham City, and Bruce has been out of the game. Everybody thinks that he's dead, so he doesn't have any of his infrastructure to fall back on, and he's basically trying to put things together without any of the resources of Bruce Wayne or of Batman, which sounds cool on paper. But it was really, really tied to what the future state status quo is in Gotham City, and that made it less interesting to me. Mariko Tamaki, who writes, she's the writer who wrote this story, and I think she's taking over Detective. She's got a great command of Bruce Wayne's voice. I enjoyed the sort of perspective that she brought to the table in terms of just how he's supposed to sound, because that's not always going to be a very common thing that people can get across very effectively. I've said it before, Tom King really, in my mind, struggled to master Bruce Wayne's voice for like the first year of his time on the main book. But she seemed to have a pretty good grasp of it. And the character work was fine again, but Bruce Wayne without all of the infrastructure of Batman, look, I'm into the idea that Bruce Wayne is a normal human being, but his superpower is his indomitable will. That's the thing that separates him from other regular human beings, and it's the thing that puts him on the same team with a demigod in a red cape. But when it comes to just the thing that he was fighting against, I've seen Batman take down more threatening foes than this. And I don't think that this is Mariko Tamaki's thing. This seems like an editorial thing where the magistrate that's taken over Gotham City is designed to be this big bad. And I didn't feel the animosity that I felt like I should have to see Bruce Wayne take this entire thing down. Maybe part of that is because it just kind of drops you in the middle of everything that's going on, and he's just sort of determining, okay, here's what I know about the magistrate, here's how they were operating when I was Batman, and you see some of that in the Batman Superman mini, and now that they're all over the place and I don't have access to my stuff anymore, I have to try and take them down in a new way. Again, on paper, it's fine, and character work is pretty cool, but it's the world concept that defines the Batman stuff in Future State that I just can't fully get behind. Oh, you're muted.
Who was the main villain in this? What was his name again?
The Magistrate was the organization that had
taken
over Gotham. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's referring to a specific person or an entity, but it's the Magistrate.
He looked like Crossbones from Captain America.
I guess I didn't make that connection, but yeah,
I mean,
right.
like MCU Crossbones anyway. Not
sure.
legit, not radical Crossbones that I love. Not real Crossbones.
MCU Crossbones is fine. It's just
he's fine.
He's kind of throwaway at the end of the day. That's all.
Well, yeah. So here's the deal with Dark Detective, the Magistrate stuff. I like the idea of taking out Bruce Wayne into a different, he's broke, which is what he's at now, basically, right? In the Tynion series or Tynion series. So that's solid stuff, right? Whatever. But I just felt like this this didn't meander as much as I thought it might, but it also wasn't. It didn't meander as much as the next Batman. But it definitely just didn't grab me as much as I wanted it to as a story. But the art is what kept me going. Because if you had switched artist on the next Batman with the writing, I've been like, I'm gone. Peace. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, is that I don't think it was necessarily a terrible thing. It was mostly it just was kind of whatever, but the art saved it. The art was really good. I thought the art was the strongest thing, and
yeah,
the layouts were great. I'll post some layouts here. There are some great stuff in this Dark Detective book. Like right here, like this is great stuff. Like this is great. I love simple. Again, this is a simple, just kind of page, kind of layout here, but just I see the Crossbones. Come on, that's Crossbones. I didn't say it was bad. But it looks like Crossbones. But
I mean, he also kind of looks like Jason.
Whatever. You want to fight me, don't you? So to fight me all the time.
I'm just saying.
Here's another great. Now this is what I'm talking about. This is solid work right here, ladies and gentlemen. This to me is a good reason why comic books are awesome. Look at this. Look at the wording right here. That's right there on the top. I love that overlapping words over top of it. And then you have the helicopters coming in right there. And then look at this. Look at this bottom panel. Oh, like that's jumpstart my heart.
Yeah, that's cool.
Great. And this to me is what made this book. This art is, this guy should be, or guy, I'm not sure who the artist, again, I'm terrible with names. I don't know people's names. I just go, I like this. This is good.
His name is Dan Mora. He also inked it.
It's funny, I didn't even realize this, dude. Mostly artists ink themselves. It's crazy. It's nuts. Like I feel like it's more of a last 5 year thing, and I'll fully admit it right now. I never really paid attention to letters and inkers and colors for the most part. I mean, obviously I know the Sienkiewicz and things like that,
sure.
But those legends, but I don't really know like a lot, like just don't really notice that stuff a lot. I'm kind of embarrassed to say I don't. That being said, more artists are just kind of do it themselves, which again, I don't blame them. So
no, I mean, if they think that, look, I mean, Boland inked himself, didn't he?
I don't know.
I thought he did. I mean,
coloring. Yeah.
Anyway,
exactly. Yeah. See, I told you, you're just as bad as me. You encourage me to go on tangents.
But tell me that the Magistrate doesn't look kind of like that. Just tell me.
I mean, they have all the helmets. Sure.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Hey, am I hating on you? So I get it. But no, this is what made the book readable, in my opinion, is this stuff. Like the captions, the voice is whatever. I'm not here, to be honest. I'm not really here for like Bruce's voice. I'm here to get Batman beat the crap out of people. But this stuff is fantastic. This is great stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and say that. Do you have anything else to say about Dark Detective before we move on to the next stuff?
Bruce's voice is part of him kicking the crap out of people. But
I mean, I guess. See,
no,
look,
it's a cool design for Bruce. I mean,
I do like the costume. I never liked this though. The yellow thing.
You never see. I thought it worked well off of Rebirth, but I can see where you're coming from. But like the Captain America style helmet with his ears out, it's kind of cool, and it looks very patched together. And the shadow work on this page that you pointed out in that middle panel is really cool.
Dude, the storytelling in this comic book from the writer perspective, the artist perspective, is really strong. Like, look, I mean, look at this. I mean, like, I love the overlapping panel here. And I just love how he tells Batman. And look at this dynamic right here. And this goes to the writer too. The writer, I think, did a good job because look, I mean, they have dark, oops, just super light here. Again, I love that. I love the dynamics of comic books. Why I love comics so much, and this is a big reason why. I mean, I love the depiction of like it's dark, just bright right there. It's good. Again, good last panel. You got to keep it up that way. I love it. Yeah. So again, solid work here. I'm gonna give this honestly a 2.9. The whole series. Like the art is so good, but the writing just in the story just doesn't grab me. Like it's like Actually, no, I'll take it back. I'll give it a 3. I give it a 3 point. I give it a 3 point.
I have it, but I haven't read her first issue of Detective yet. But I'm looking forward to it.
I'll be willing to hear you out on this. By the way, are you actually current on something? Is that what I'm hearing?
I mean, it's not that I'm current as much. I've just jumped over a bunch of stuff. But yeah.
Oh my gosh, Zach, we don't want the oval. Zach, just kidding. Hi, Zach. Did you hear me talking about you? Oh, geez. Sorry. Zach is obviously from the Spidey Dude Experience. You can catch me on that with our Spider-Man podcast. We live stream just like we are now. Lots of fun stuff. Zach, I love you. If me and Zach did a show, we would literally not have to have a topic. We just stare at each other and be like, all right, go. And we just would say one word and we just go off on tangents for like 4 hours. Right, Zach? Just telling me I'm right. You know I'm right. Sir. All right. Anyone else? You can in the comment section. You guys can. Yes, you're right. Andrew, you're right. Crossbones is no Zemo. There is no Crossbones. Only Zemo. Anyway, before we move on, do we have anything else we want to say about Dr. Detective? Are we done?
I think we're done, but I do have one thing to say when we do actually jump to Superman.
Well, yeah, we got tons about Superman
before the main thing.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I got you. All right. Anyway, moving on, we're going to talk about something that I actually read that this guy didn't because he hates reading comic books. This is going to be. I love giving you crap, bro. It's so much.
Yeah, fun. You gave me crap on Twitter the other day. Like I'm just reading comics, and you're like, finally, it's like
because you finally read it. Because you finally read it in the Captain. That's like you should have read that like 20 years ago.
That wasn't the Captain. That was that was.
Oh, that's
Red
right.
Skull's original origin story.
Who? Red Skull's?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Whatever.
When he's not wearing the mask, and he's
was that Zach and DeMatteis?
It was DeMatteis. Yeah.
Yeah, DeMatteis's cap run is anything DeMatteis does is criminally underrated. No one appreciates him more than probably they should, because DeMatteis is amazing.
He's really good at making Red Skull just a slimy son of a bitch.
Well, he's the one that created Zemo, the current Zemo.
Yeah.
And
I got up in that story, but
yeah.
I read Red Skull Incarnate, but I'd never actually read the first origin story.
Yeah. So he wrote DeMatteis is. We're going on tangents already. I better stop. I digress. We'll talk about DeMatteis. We'll have a whole show. Maybe I can get him on the show. Maybe we have enough clout. Probably don't have enough clout, but he's a nice guy. I think he'd do it. He's a nice dude. I just be like, will you just tell me about like Spider-Man? I love DeMatteis. Like I seriously think he's a rad writer. So good. All right. Swamp Thing. This is I don't like calling him V. It's weird to me. Like V. You know what I mean? Like it's like calling Prince a symbol. It's just weird to me.
Yeah, I understand.
It's like, do I call him V? Do I call him the Fifth? Like what is this?
Look, man, I wouldn't presume to tell you what you should or shouldn't call him. Right. I mean, you just call him Ram, I guess. I mean,
but is that his name?
His real name is really long. It is, and I'm going to butcher it. I know I'm going to butcher it if I try and pronounce it. Ramnarayan.
All right, we don't have to. Yeah. Regardless, here's the deal. I bought Swamp Thing not because of Future State, not because of just I'm a giant Swamp Thing fan. I do love Swamp Thing. Don't get me wrong, I do love him. Well, I bought this because I have read at the time I had read a little bit of his independent work for Vault Comics called The Savage Shores, which I finally finished the whole thing. I was waiting for the coffee shops to open again so I can go back to the coffee shop and eat sweets and read comics and stuff and such. Hasn't happened. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to read this now because I've been putting it off for too long. It's phenomenal. And we're going to cover on the binge at some point. You better believe it. It's fantastic. So anyway, so I picked this up because he wrote that story and I really like that story. I read these comics, and the crazy thing about this Swamp Thing series, it's only 2 issues. It's only 2 issues, and it is not action-packed, like at all. But it is so interesting that I got Alan Moore vibes, but not in a sense to where it's like it's blowing everything out the door, where it's like totally taking, throwing the baby with the bathwater out kind of a thing and just reconstructing everything. But what I got was really well written stories, great Michael Perkins artwork. And when you have those things together, you then add the fact of these characters that you don't know who they are. And Swamp Thing, and again, spoiler free, because it's only 2 issues. And honestly, they're not too expensive. Go out there and get them, because I'm telling you, these 2 issues are very interesting. If you don't really know much about Swamp Thing, it's a really solid introduction, to be quite honest. And you also have a really awesome payoff, because I'll just say this, the one kind of spoilery thing I'm going to say, which is you can find out in the first, couple pages of that comic, is that Swamp Thing is basically with a group of people that are just like him. It's like a commune of just people, of swamp people, basically. And so these characters are all, you don't really know who they are or what's going on or what Swamp Thing's deal is. And then they kind of, again, it's a future state, so you don't really know what exactly is going on. You slowly get revealed of what is going on, and the ending is super impactful. Like, I mean, the ending kind of was like, okay, I'm in. This is rad. And I was kind of bummed, to be honest, that it was ending, because it has a really interesting kind of cliffhanger kind of feel, like leaves you wanting more. And of course, V, or Fifth, or whatever the hell his name is, he is writing the current Swamp Thing comic, which I read, which was awesome. And I can't wait I haven't bought the second one yet, but I'm going to probably after the show's over, and I'm going to read it probably tonight or tomorrow. And it's super good. And I can't wait. In fact, I did a short view video on the first issue, which I'm telling you, go pick it up. You can literally pick up these 2 issues from Future State and then go pick up the latest issue, and you're not going to be left out either way, but it just enhances everything. The dude is an up and coming superstar for writing. I'm telling you, Perkins artwork, great too. Super, super good. I think that whatever, I can't, see, this is why I don't know. I don't know what I call him. He's a superstar. Like, he is a future DC, or whoever wants to take this guy and let him go ham, do it, because the guy knows how to write comics. After I read These Savage Shores, which we will get to, I promise. When you get to that series and you read that, I was just like, this is so good. Like, it's super good. Again, not groundbreaking, not like, it's a game changer, but this is a great example of great writing in a comic book that I think that enhances the medium. And I would love to talk to this guy about writing sometime, because I am really a fan. I can't, I know you didn't read it. I'd give this honestly a 3.8, which is huge. It's almost a 4. Like, it's almost a perfect book, man. Like, I loved it that much. I thought it was super good. The only reason why I didn't give it quite a 4 is because it's only 2 issues, and it was like, it didn't do quite enough to really get me there to, kind of get to that 4. Because 4 to me is like almost perfect. A 5 is like an all-timer. So if people are wondering when I do my short views, my grades are basically, the higher it goes means the more, obviously, the bigger deal I like it. But when I give something a 3, that's me recommending read the comic book. I give it like, if it's a low 3 or kind of a 2, it's like, eh. But if it gets the higher you get to a 3 to a 4, over a 4, that means I'm like, it's good. So I would give us like a 3.8, 3.9 it's close. I wouldn't quite give it a 4, but it's pretty damn close. Like, again, this is not an action-packed comic book, but this art is just so, it's gritty and it's detailed, but it's not over the top. And I love the muted colors. The coloring for the series, I think, and it continues into the latest series, is super good too. It's very much a continuation. So if you buy these first 2 Future State comic books into the new Swamp Thing series, it's going to flow really, really well. It's not a continuation, but it kind of sets up a little bit where Ram V or whatever is going. And I really like it. And I think
like a spiritual prologue kind of a thing.
I think that's a great way of putting it. A spiritual prologue. Exactly. So this is something that I think that is definitely worth picking up. And it's the cheapest of the Future State comic books. It's super, super good. Like look at this. Look how rad this is. Like, Swamp Thing is just, it's so cool, dude. Like, honestly, it's not action packed, but this shows you that you can have a non-action packed comic book and have it be just a great comic book. And this is exactly what it is. So yeah, I really recommend picking up the new Swamp Thing or the Swamp Thing Future State comic books. If you're a Swamp Thing fan, you're like, no, go pick it up because it's super good. Honestly, I need to read more Swamp Thing. I've read almost half of the Alan Moore stuff, and I want to finish it. I just don't know if I ever will. Maybe we'll do it for the binge one day. I'll get some people on. Get Robert Reinecke. Where's Robert? Robert, show yourself. I know he's not watching. I'm not important enough to talk to Robert. He's too cool for me. No, I'm just kidding. I love Robert. He has a Swamp Thing podcast. Go check out a Swamp Thing podcast.
Yes, he does. In fact, he's going to have a guest you might know on it pretty soon.
I don't know who you are, dude. It's weird. Anyway, but yeah.
Who am I? Why am I here?
Why are you here? Why are any of us here? Some guy quote tweeted me when I was ripping on Ryan Johnson a couple years ago, and he was like, he was doing that whole thing. It was weird, and I was like, okay, I don't really get it, but all right. But a lot of people liked this tweet because they're all super Ryan Johnson supporters. So like you are. Ryan Johnson.
Look, man, I respect artists.
Me too. I'm super happy for him. I'm so happy he's got his Knives Out deal. So anyway, moving out.
You're going to watch that movie, and you're going to be legitimately happy about it.
I'm never going to watch that movie.
Bullshit.
You're never. Don't swear. We're trying to monetize, sir.
Looks great in 4K. Looks spectacular.
Everything looks good in 4K, unless it's called Last Jedi. I'm just kidding. Last Jedi actually looks good in 4K, by the way. It looks really good.
You cannot criticize the photography in that movie.
No, I just criticize the pacing. But anyway, I digress again. We are going to now talk about Superman. Now for those who are wondering, there's some big stuff here, people. So if like the 3 people who are watching religiously right now, thank you, by the way. Hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment. God, so stupid. I hate this. This is something that I think that I'm really excited to talk about. And I probably when I give the floor to Chris here, I'm going to probably try to pimp out people to join on because I think people are going to want to hear this for the most part because there's going to be lots of cool stuff on this. This is where. Okay,
so hold on before we jump into the main stuff. There was a Future State book that came out. There was a Future State book that came out this week or this past week.
Infinite Frontier?
No, it was the last issue of Superman versus Imperious Lex.
Moving on. Anyway, just kidding.
You would like this, actually.
I'm sure.
I'm pretty sure that you would get a kick out of it because it's deceptive in the sense that the first issue is extremely funny. Like Lex Luthor is just a buffoon, and he's taken over a planet, and he's created a media construct on that planet so that everybody basically worships him and thinks that he created the ground that they walk on and has given them jobs when he's actually he's Lex Luthor. He's a terrible person. So the pretext of the story is that he's run his planet into the ground so bad that he needs to join the emerging United Planets government. And one of the leaders of the United Planets is Earth, understandably so. And the people that he needs to appeal to try and get membership is Lois Lane and Superman. And Superman's older in this story. In fact, I guess it's not on the cover, but Superman's got gray hair. He's got a totally different costume. It seems like it's further out in the future than some of the other Future State books. And it goes to some surprisingly potent, dramatic places. And it's a really strong kind of sci-fi allegory, too, about some things that you've been seeing in the world over the last couple of years. So very good book, and I recommend it. 3 issues and regular cover price, too. So that's a bonus.
You can't go wrong with a regular cover price, you know? So anyway, so here's where people are going to want to really get behind for us because the Superman stuff, there's going to be some, I think we're going to do light spoilers, but we're going to throw some hot takes. I think there's going to be hot takes, Chris. I think we're going to get some hot takes. So please, by all means, take the floor here. So for those who don't know, the 3 people who are listening or watching or whatever, who don't know Chris Clow here, he is one of the biggest Superman fans I've ever known. And Future State was a very interesting thing for us. So go ahead, Chris, you have the floor. I'll let you have, because it's your boy.
Well, I want to start quickly by saying that it's been a long time since I've read a regular Superman book month to month. The last Superman series I kept up with monthly was Peter Tomasi and Patrick Gleason's coming out of DC Rebirth. And that was a great series. It really drove home sort of the family dynamic that now seems to be a main signature component of a lot of Superman storytelling. And I like that direction. I fell out of Bendis, I guess, right around Action 1000, so before his first issue even came out. I don't have an excuse. I just never got around to it. And time kept going by so long that I was like, well, he's probably close to the end of his run now. I'll just wait and read the whole thing at some point. So I haven't read Bendis's Superman. And I've heard a lot of stuff that happens in it, unfortunately. I've been spoiled on quite a few things that take place. I do look forward to reading it in its entirety relatively soon, just because I'd like to see what he did. And I am going to read his Justice League regularly since he's jumped on that book. But it's been a while since I've read Superman month to month. And what I notice with me, and I'm sure that this is true of, well, maybe it's true of other people and their main primary characters, but it's weird. When I stop reading a regular monthly comic book that I know I enjoy, like deep in my bones when it's written well, I start to feel like I'm not myself. And maybe that sounds pathetic to some people, but the reading experience for Superman is something that, when done well, there are few things in my mind that can hit the high of a really well-told Superman story. So when they announced Future State, and I already said at the top of this show that I wasn't really looking forward to it, it seemed really gimmicky to me. And the solicitation for Superman Worlds of War seemed especially gimmicky to me, because John was the primary Superman on Earth. He was the one who was going to be watching Metropolis during this event, and Clark was trapped on Warworld, it sounds like, at the behest of Mongol. And is just going to be fighting a bunch of aliens. It just sounded boring, and it sounded like it wasn't really going to be something that I seek from a Superman story. So when I went to pick up the book, I really wasn't expecting much out of it. I was completely ignorant of Philip Kennedy Johnson's work as a writer. I just knew that he was going to be taking over the Superman books. So that was the thing that really indicated to me, well, maybe I should just give this a try so I see what his run might be like. And I got to tell you, Superman Worlds of War is only 2 issues. And I said this, I think, on Twitter right after I read it, but I really can't express it adequately, I feel, in words, just how good for the soul this comic book reading experience was for me. And this is just the lead story. So this is another $7.99 cover price book. I'm not sure if it was because my expectations were so low because I judged a book by its cover. But the lead story in this book by Philip Kennedy Johnson and Mikkel Janin, who I think is one of the best artists working today, who I saw first on Tom King's Batman in the I Am Suicide story, it gets to the heart of what makes Superman such an exceptional hero. And I am really surprised that I'm telling you that, because I had no idea that this was going to be something that got to the spirit of Superman so effectively. And this is particularly true in an environment, as a Superman fan, and I think other Superman fans would be able to empathize, it's easy to misunderstand him. It's easy to see his strength as coming from purely like a physical place. And that's not where it comes from. It comes from his inner intestinal fortitude. Not only does this book get to the true source of Superman's greatness and strength as a hero, but it just punches you in the face with what his heroism really looks like in the face of adversity. And the thing that really gets to me the most is that it chooses to illustrate what makes Superman so exceptional, not by the things that he can do, but because of who he is. And how would it possibly communicate that, especially in a visual medium like comics? Through his alter ego that doesn't exist anymore. The framing device for this story is that and I don't think I'm going to be spoiling too much by saying this, but basically, since Superman has left the planet, he is basically seen across the world as kind of like a secular messiah. And the places that he spent time are hallowed ground. So Smallville is kind of like a holy place for a lot of people. They go to see where Superman grew up. They have deified even just his chemistry papers. Like, these are the sacred texts that Superman himself wrote. So there's got to be some kind of answer to the meaning of life written in these. And he's only been gone for a few years, but he has ascended to that level in the consciousness. And there's a woman who visits Smallville to basically try and get close to the guy that she knows. And she goes to this bonfire, and all of these people are talking about what Superman means to them. And they're talking about his powers, and they're talking about maybe they saw him save someone. Maybe he's still out there somewhere and we don't know. And when they get to her, she starts walking away almost in disgust, because it's like, you guys don't know him. And it's like, well, what makes you know him? Well, how did Superman save you? And she says, he didn't. Clark Kent did. And the majority of the next several parts of the story into the second issue, it focuses on a piece of writing that Clark wrote for the Daily Planet that saved her life, because of the way that it characterized something that he saw in the city as an injustice that he wanted to correct, not through punching it, not through lifting a building over his head, not by making something burn with the sheer force of his sight, but by writing it and shining that light of truth on an injustice. And juxtaposed with these really powerful samples of Clark Kent's writing, then you see Superman being Superman in a physical sense on Warworld. And you see him putting other people before himself to try and save them from having a terrible fate, doing this knowing that he's going to be physically tortured and punished by Mongol, and he still will not yield, and he will not break even if he is compromised. So you have this 2-issue story that gets to the core of who Superman is, not just through his powers, but through his mind and through his heart. And I just cannot adequately describe in all the words that are available to me in the English language just how good for my heart this comic book was. I was immensely satisfied by it. I will never forget the reading experience that this story provided me. The art is phenomenal, which certainly doesn't hurt anything when you have words that in my mind for a long time to come are going to be immortal. I know I'm talking it up, but that's what this experience was for me. Maybe it was because I didn't expect that. Maybe it's because my expectations were so low. But I cannot recommend Superman Worlds of War enough, and I am elated that this is the writer who's in control of Superman and Action Comics for the months and hopefully years to come.
This did not. The Swamp Thing series got some pub online before when it was released, and I liked, I remember people saying the same things about all this stuff or about Swamp Thing, and it seemed like the consensus was that Swamp Thing was good and whatever. But the Superman books, when they first came out, these 2 issues, they weren't met with such praise. Like universe is weird, and I remember just kind of being like, okay, with Superman, whatever, blah blah blah. And
I had to convince you. You were going to ignore them.
You did. Well, because then people started. I gotta admit, because I'll get to it in a few minutes here. We had the issue where people started talking about the one that was basically the follow-up to Worlds of War, which is House of L. And I'm not getting there yet. But when I came over to your house and we read these comic books, I was like, oh, yeah, I don't know. And then when you told me that this was a writer that's doing the Superman series afterwards, and he's the same guy who did the House of L books, I went, oh, that's right. Okay, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And I was blown away, people, how good these comics were. Like I was very impressed that they managed to give us a series that, again, kind of like Swamp Thing. You have 2 issues to work on something, and you can work on it and wrap it up and do whatever. And he manages to give us a really entertaining 2 issues for but it's super interesting. You kind of want more. I mean, I wanted to see Superman take on Mongol, whatever his name is, on this planet and fight. I wanted more of that, but it's kind of like, I kind of liken it to like lightsabers or Ghostbusters, with they're actually firing the proton packs. The less Superman you had in it, the more impactful it made him in the comic book. If that makes any sense. Like, it's kind of like the less in it he is, the more interesting it is. And it seems weird to say that in a Superman book, but the way he wrote the characters and like the lady who went in, who was inspired by Superman, which he goes into Smallville, obviously here, as we're showing you. And you just get an idea that, what Clark Kent and Superman, who are basically the same person, they really are the same people, and how the impact of because Superman is more than just, how strong he is, how impactful he is as a person. And that's what Clark Kent personifies. And you see that is in this book. And again, he does it in such a great way that leaves you wanting more. I was like, man, this is so good. And I was blown away that more people weren't talking about it afterwards. I'm like, why are more people talking about this comic book? Like, I haven't read House of L yet. So I finally read House of L later on, which again, I'll get into in a minute. But this, to me, this is some of my favorite Superman comics I've read, to be quite honest. I mean, I haven't read, or at least in a long time, I haven't read a couple of good Superman books in quite a while. And I am so glad that this writer who had no idea who they were before, which we had, was Philip Kennedy Johnson, right? Philip Kennedy Johnson, after I was reading everything, I realized, wait. This is the same guy who's writing the Marvel Alien series. Like, how insane is that? And that, to me, was what was really, really fascinating and super crazy, that this guy who's writing Superman right now is also writing a Marvel book, and it's Alien. You just can't get around it. Like, how crazy that is. And it's really good. Both Alien comic was great, and this comic book series is great. Look at this art. Who's the artist on this, Chris?
Mikael Janin, and he had collaborated with Tom King a few times on Batman.
This is great.
And he's just fun. I'm glad that you picked this page too, because this is kind of what I was talking about. He just meets this other prisoner on Warworld, and he just says, stay behind me. You're going to make it home. And even in spite of reduced power level, and in spite of all of the opposition that's in front of him, when you juxtapose an image like this with what is also in the man's heart through the piece of his writing, it just gets to the core, man. Yeah. It's such a beautiful and truthful representation of the hope that Superman is supposed to embody and does embody. And I'm really glad that that's the direction that the current books are headed. It's terrific.
Yeah, no, this is great. I love these 3 panels, and you're right. Like, I brought this out because for multiple reasons, and one of them is because I love the tone. The color tone is so perfect. It's so good. And I love the way how bulky Superman looks, and but he doesn't look, I don't know, it's not too muscular, but he's bulky. So I mean, obviously he's got muscles. I mean, look at him, but this is not a slender, or I don't know, I just love the thickness of how bulky he looks and just how much of a warrior he is. But the way he draws them is he's also very welcoming. He looks like he's a hero, like he looks heroic, and he's got a sword and a shield, you know. And I love how it's Superman. It's so Superman. It's great. So, and I also love the fact it's 3 panels, and I just love the layout of like the close up on the eyes. It's so perfect. I mean,
it's sort of like a Slave Leia. It's a kind of a coarse example, but he's not wearing a suit. Like he's got the symbol bolted to his chest, and he's got the cape, and he's wearing.
Oh, dude, I didn't even realize that. Honestly, I thought it was a gray suit.
It's brutal. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Just fighting for his life and fighting for other people's lives too. And it's
And what again for the storytelling here, I'm gonna say right here, I because normally you maybe I'm not sure what Philip Kennedy Johnson was trying to accomplish, but you can tell here that there is this is basically 2 panels, essentially, right?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that the artist is what probably included, because you look right here, you could probably see where he says "stay behind me." Could just be an extra bubble right there on the, right above the, to the left and to the right, right? But with the little close up on the eyes and it going on him, it's just great. I love how dynamic that is. It's so cool. Again, comic book medium right here, and it's finest. Just like,
and granted, your mileage will vary, I'm sure. I enthusiastically shared this book with my wife, who is also a Superman fan, just probably because of osmosis. And she's just like, yeah, it was all right. So
yeah,
it obviously
I don't know, man.
Impression.
So is it okay if I lead the next one? Because I have,
yeah, of course.
This is my baby right here. What we're gonna talk about. So the next issue, or the last thing we're going to talk about with Superman, is going to be the issue House of L. And this is an issue that got a lot of publicity and a lot of highlights when it came out a few weeks ago or a month ago. This issue probably, or might be, I'm not sure yet, I haven't figured it out, this could be one of my favorite Superman stories of all time. Seriously.
Now, did you pick this book up?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay.
I have the actual comic book. I had to get it. I went to a local comic store over there, and I picked it up. And yeah. And I was blown away. I don't really want to say much about this comic, because I think the less especially of all the comics we talk about today, this is the one that I'm going to share some panels from, but I don't really want to give much context. So I'm going to try to dance around it as much as I can. Go buy this comic book one way or another and go read it, because it is good. It is very, very good.
I mean, ideally get all 3 of them, because
I would agree. They flow really well together. I think.
And Worlds of War #2 ends by saying follow up in House of L.
It does, yeah.
So.
And honestly, because I was planning on reading this comic regardless before you even told me, or no, actually no, I'm not sure if I was or not. But I think after I liked those comics, and then I think it was literally this comic came out right after I read it, read those first 2 issues. Then I was like, oh crap, okay, like people love this. I better go read this comic book, because I like those other 2 comic books, whatever. Now I'm like, holy crap. And so you're probably like, okay, dude, shut up. Why do you like this so much? Like, what makes this book so good? First of all, the ideas that you get in this this is not a spoiler from what I'm going to tell you. You can tell House of L this is the lineage of Superman. And as you could tell, that's on the cover here, it is a wide-ranging house that he has built over the years. And you get to see the different characterizations that these characters represent, and of Superman, and the legacies of Superman. and you could see them all in action, which obviously you buy this comic book for action and adventure and all that jazz. So why I think this is so good is that while you're also making a really cool idea of the legacy of Superman, you're also explaining what makes Superman so great, which we already experienced in those first 2 issues. What House of L does, it puts a nice tidy bow that is just the most beautiful looking bow you could get, in my opinion. And you put it on those 2 issues and you tell everyone Superman is here to stay. And Superman is basically what the ideals of Superman, of what he represents, will never go away. And it is meant for everyone and will be intended for everyone. And, you pick up your shield or whatever, pick up whatever you want. The Superman is, logo is for you. And that to me is what was really impressive, while also being a really, really interesting looking, and also complex looking book. I mean, I would gladly read an ongoing of House of L characters, and I'll get to why. Because again, I don't want to spoil it. Sorry, my dog is drinking. You probably want to hear it. I don't want to spoil too much, but I got to show you some reasons why I love this book so much. So if you look here, I'm going to show you some pictures or some pages, because there's some great stuff here. First of all, look at this. Look how great this is. This is just, I love, the artist is great. I'm not sure who the artist is, Chris. I'm not sure if you can tell me who the artist is.
Galuski. I don't remember his first name. I'll have to look it up. But it's got, what it reminded me of just as soon as you pulled that up, and I don't know if you're going to agree with this or not, Nova. It almost reminded me of a Nova Corps book.
No, yeah. No, I totally get that. It's very much a Superman core, but it's not that. It's very much, these are people that descend from the House of L, and they are the House of L, and they embody the spirit of the line that it started from. And I love that. And again, you get what you get. You'll get the Papa L at some point, but I'll just say that. And it's a phenomenal. It is a great entrance that I don't even want to spoil it. It's great. And
I don't think it's too spoilery to say that this is probably the furthest in the future of all of the future state books.
Absolutely. No, I agree. I think it's evident. If we're talking about that, lineage, a huge lineage that you see right here, it's evident that that's
it's what it seems like it's thousands of years. That's what it seems like.
So, man, so I'm going to tell you right now, this is probably one of my favorite Superman comic books, because how great it looks. The storytelling is great. The action is great. I mean, it is. Look at this page. Look at this. Look, this is the comic book medium, ladies and gentlemen. How awesome this is. This looks phenomenal. I love the work that artists did here. It's so good. I love it. And I just think that this book is so worth picking up. I think this is Philip Kennedy Johnson, same guy who's writing the Alien comic book, the same guy who wrote the first 2 issues we were talking about. This is the book that you need to read. Of all the books, you can just pick this up, single issue, and read and be like, that was pretty damn good. It's a great one and done.
And it seems like a similar kind of relationship, because even though Worlds of War ends by saying find out what happens next in House of L, they're not directly connected. It seems like it more just kind of sets up the spirit of what the storytelling is going to be going for. And House of L, even more than some Legion stories that have leaned on the ideals of Superman as sort of founding principles to build societies off of, it takes it a lot further, and it makes it a lot more explicit. It's far enough in the future that there are some people who are even part of the House that don't think Superman himself ever existed. And
don't go too much now. No, hold on now. Don't go.
Well, no. That's just that gives context for how far in the future.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
I have one mild spoiler, or not even spoiler, but just kind of, I have to share this. Okay, so if you don't want to read it, just ignore the next couple minutes, because I don't blame you. It's great. First of all, DC, where is this character, and why can't we get more of them? Because how rad is this? A Blue Lantern with the House of L on them. I mean, dude,
Yeah,
that looks awesome. Like her, I don't remember her name. Just because I'm terrible with names again, and I've read it a couple times, but forgot.
Rowan. It was Rowan Kent.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, dude, this is. They didn't make this a character. They didn't put this in a character in the DC universe ASAP. Look how amazing this design is. This is
I mean, you know how like with the Batman stuff, they kind of indicated, hey, there might be some stuff that takes place in an ongoing way in the future state Batman timeline.
Yeah,
give us this book,
dude,
because this book would be I think it would be way more interesting.
Yeah,
but also too, it's just it's like pure comic book storytelling. You know, it's a story that's only really possible on this scale in this medium. I mean, so if someone tried to adapt this into a movie, I'm sure that they could, but would it have the same kind of a punch? Yeah, I don't know. It's not even necessary, right?
Yeah, right.
But this is the fun part. Like if you know someone who's only ever checked into like movies and stuff, but are really into the characters, these are the reasons why you come aboard for the comics, because you can only really get this stuff from here.
But like I said, let's give this character a place in DC now, because I'm telling you, this is a great character. I think she looks amazing. Again, I read comics because they gotta look amazing. They gotta look good. The characters gotta look good. The costumes gotta look good. My dog's breathing hard.
I can't hear you.
Okay, good. You're so loud. My dog's loud. I'm sorry, but no, this character.
You're sensitive to it. That's all.
I know, it just drives me nuts. It's like, stop breathing. No, I'm kidding. I love my dog. She's my baby. No, but this to me, I was blown away at this. I'm like, whoa, this is really cool. And you could see her in action too in this comic book, which is great. So if you're wondering why you want to have some awesome female characters, you got one that was sitting here just doing nothing. I'm assuming maybe she comes back. I don't know. Get her out of obscurity. Put her in the series, man, because she's rad. I love the way that this design is so perfect to me. It's like this is the concept of a Blue Lantern like with Superman like version is so cool. It's so cool.
You know, you would really like. We should do for the binge at some point more of like Green Lantern Corps, because do you know who Mon-El is?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's from the planet Daxam, which was like next to Krypton. But there is a Daxamite Green Lantern that was introduced like in 2008. And so it's like Superman with a Green Lantern ring. And that turned into a pretty cool part of the Sinestro Corps War. We should check that.
You know, I think we read for back in the Modern Myth Media days when we used to read comic books for that show. Sean, if you're listening, bring it back. No, he's too busy. No, but I think we read Rebirth. We read
Secret Origin.
Secret Origin, which is great, minus the guy who drew it. Even though his artist is good, he's kind of
No, Secret Origin, Ivan Reis.
Wait, who? Oh, he wrote Rebirth, or he drew Rebirth.
Yes. Yeah. Okay,
never mind. Yeah, Ivan Reis's art in Secret Origin is amazing.
Yeah,
I love Secret Origin. I love Secret Origin. It was great.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, So I guess wrapping up this series, and thank you for everyone that came on. I really appreciate it. Honestly, super, super awesome. I just gotta say that this is, Future State wasn't the slam dunk everyone wanted it to be, but it was better than I was anticipating, which I think everyone was saying basically the same thing. Is like, it's just.
Let me ask you this though,
sure.
Because you read the first issue of Johnson's main Superman.
I need to read the second one too. I need to.
Action has come out. I don't think the next issue of Superman has, but Action has.
But no, it's too.
You intend to follow the monthly books from now on while he's on it?
Well, I mean, if they jack up the prices, maybe not, to be honest.
They were looks like the most recent Action was $4.99. Yeah. So I don't know.
I bought it digitally regardless. I mean, I'm willing to check it out because Philip K. Johnson has been super, super good. So I mean, I have not been led astray. And the first issue off his run has been great too. Like I liked it. It was a great moments between Jonathan and his dad.
And there was a short prologue too in the Infinite Frontier Zero issue that was pretty solid too.
Oh man, I remember you told me that, or someone told me
that. You read it when I came over.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was good. That was super good
because it just focused on John.
Yeah. Which is good. No, it was. So I would say, for those who are kind of wondering, like, well, can I pick this up? Like, I think Future State, if you love the characters, if you're a big Superman Batman fan, I think you'll like it. I don't know if you'll love it necessarily, but the Superman stuff is promising. I think this could be maybe Philip Kennedy Johnson will be the writer that brings Superman back to from obscurity, which I like the Bendis stuff. I always meant to finish the Bendis run. I read the first couple arcs of the stuff and I liked it. I thought it was good. And maybe that's sacrilegious to say. A lot of people were like, no, you gotta hate Bendis. No, I like Bendis.
I don't know, man. I mean, it seems like some people were trying to burn his name in effigy, but not everybody. I mean,
that's all I felt. I thought people were just ready to rip him to shreds. So
he didn't do as much business as I know they were hoping he would do, but it is also Bendis, and he's playing in a new toy box, right? So
yeah.
Can't be that. Yeah. And he's continuing it in Justice League. So
I bought the first issue of Justice League, which was fine. Again, it's too short. If they're gonna jack up the prices, I'm not saying they need to be like 30 pages long, but give me like 26, 25 pages. Give me some more, give me a little more meat to it.
Sure. Yeah. I haven't read that yet either. Maybe I should finish Superman before
Bendis, people can say they don't like Bendis. It's fine, but I don't think he's a terrible writer either. I mean, if you had to
you won't hear me say that.
I know, because you actually have you actually have credibility and don't want to just be like, ooh,
whatever. I think you feel like I dislike him, and I don't. I really don't. I didn't think
that. I never thought that. I don't think I ever thought that.
The only problem that I have ever had with him was on New Avengers. Most of the characters sounded the same except for Luke Cage and Spider-Man. That was it. That was like the only gripe I ever had for him.
Yeah, to be fair, I love New Avengers though. I love this series.
It was great.
That breakout comic. I tell people ask me what's a great jumping on point. And I always say just start reading comics. I know it's crazy, but just like get crazy. Like it's always fun to kind of get over your head a little bit and research yourself.
I think Breakout is a lot of people's first comic book too.
It is a great.
Recognize that it is a strong jumping on point for anybody.
It is. I still right now. If you're listening to this and you're like, well, how do I get back into Marvel comic books? Breakout. Go read New Avengers, Breakout, the New Avengers from 2004 or 5, whatever it was, issues 1 through the first 6 or 7 issues, the first 10 issues, even the weird Century stuff in the middle, which is probably I think the weakest of the series, which wasn't that bad. It just wasn't my favorite. It's great.
The Secret Invasion and Dark Reign stuff was pretty good too.
Secret Invasion is like super deep cut though. That's the problem with the series. But Dark Reign was cool. You could, but again, if you're looking for a great jumping on point for just Marvel in general or comics in general, this is really like a great Breakout is where it's at. To me, it still stands the best of time, the test of time of like, because you could read that, you can kind of know a little bit before going into it. It recaps it, you kind of understand, and you can just go forward. And it goes that's
really, especially because of his run on Daredevil. That's what surprised me about like he's going to Superman when he jumps to DC. That seems strange. Like he's going straight to Superman, but it's because I need to read the run. But
remember, Daredevil was because he cut his teeth on other stuff, and they kind of threw it to him because they need to give him a chance, and he earned his stripes on it, and then like took the character to places that I still think Bendis's run might be my favorite Daredevil run.
Don't you think it's weird that Bendis has never had a proper run on Amazing?
No, because what else is he going to say about Spider-Man? He's done everything. He literally rewrote or not rewrote. He reimagined so much of Spider-Man already, and brought in he freaking helped co-create, essentially spearheaded the most popular Marvel character outside of the comic books, basically, like which is Miles Morales.
I'm not taking away from that at all.
I'm just saying that, what more could he say? He's already replaced Spider-Man. He's done. I mean, like,
but Peter's in such a weird place in the modern Marvel universe.
Now, you got Reed Spencer's Ron Holmes.
It's not bad, but we were talking about this like when an earlier episode of the Binge where it's never going to be like status quo again.
I don't know now, man.
Where he's taking pictures for Jonah and he's struggling to pay his rent.
Have you read? I'll say this: have you read the latest issues with the new costume?
No, I haven't read Amazing since like 15.
Because that is kind of addressed. To be honest,
all right.
It's. Don't you watch my podcast, Spider Dude Experience?
I don't want to get spoiled, man. I would if I were current, but you know I love you guys.
No, I know. I love you too. I love you too. You're so great. I love you. People that don't know, I really do love this man. Like I love Chris to death. Like
both ways, man.
I know. But I just want people to know, like I love Chris to death. Like I would take a bullet for Chris. Like seriously, straight up. I don't take bullets for many people in this world. He's definitely in the top 5.
Well, if people shoot at us, we'll take bullets for each other. How about that?
See, I like that. Yeah, I like that. That's good. So, yeah. So anyway, we're gonna do another episode here in a couple weeks. We're gonna go every other week. There's more announcements coming for the Comic Binge. For those who are wondering, I've got something cooking right now, in the fires, if you will, that I'm hoping to have it announced here in a few weeks. Would be exciting. It's not super big deal, but it's exciting, and it's going to lead to more shows though, but different kinds of shows.
And you got a video game recently.
Yes, I did. And we're going to play, and we're going to, and me and Chris need to figure out what we're going to do for the streaming of the video game stuff, because that's going to happen. It's going to be really exciting. And, but we got to figure out if we're going to do Maximum Carnage first, or we're going to do the Avengers game first.
Okay. So I figured out too, my good friend Blair Farrell, who has written a book about Spider-Man video games. So he probably knows them better than anybody. Maximum Carnage is only one player. So we'd probably have to trade off if we were going to do that one. Or we could play 2-player on Separation Anxiety, but that game isn't as good as Maximum Carnage.
We have to play Maximum Carnage.
Yeah.
But that's a game I remember playing. Well, that and the Sega Genesis Spider-Man game, which I'd love to play again one day. I love that game. Oh, I play that game so much. You know which one I'm talking about?
I think so, yeah.
Where it's like I think you take on like if you play, I remember when I was a kid, I put it on easy, and I was like, oh, this is so much easier for me to play. And then like I got through like the first level, and then it like stopped. I had to, which I didn't understand. I'm like, why did they do that?
Well, you know, there's another Spider-Man game that came out for the Super Nintendo, but only in Japan.
What?
And I have a way you could try it. It's pretty cool.
I'll try it, man. Yeah. But I think the first game we have to play is Maximum Carnage. I remember I played that game. I rented that game so much as a kid, and
that'll be easy. So the other game that he got, spoiler alert, is Avengers, current Avengers.
It's not a spoiler. It's just like he bought it. But by the way, he bought it for me, like
so that we could play it together. But
it doesn't matter. It's like the nice, like he's always buying me stuff, and it's like such I'm so blessed. Like I just
that's a game that we both play just at our own places. Like it's not a game we play on the couch together. So that might be easier to do. But
whatever, we'll figure it. We'll figure it. But anyway, we're gonna be doing more stuff. There's gonna be more live streams. Basically, this will be the live stream. The live stream will be the podcast. And I know, Chris, you're going to be posting eventually. I don't put you on the spot.
I will soon. I just haven't got it.
So we will be posting the Justice League live stream podcast soon. We'll post that on the thing. Not every live stream will be on the podcast, but the main shows will. Like this is a main show. It'll be on the podcast. So if you're listening to the podcast on this, thank you. And we haven't forgot about you, and it's going to continue. More stuff will be exclusive to the YouTube show though, because we're trying to build that. And like I said, there's going to be more cool announcements. I've got a lot of things I'm trying to work on, and exciting things, at least for me. I don't know if it'll be exciting for everyone else, but we're just trying to build the community of comic book people, not just collecting. I know there's a big collecting market on YouTube right now, which is great. Comic collecting is huge for the medium. Don't get me wrong, but I want to build the community as much as if it's a community of 5 people, it's fine. I don't care. I want to build a community of comic book people who love comics and feel safe in the sense to where they can say, yeah, I like that new Iron Man series. And no one's like, dude, you mean Hellcat? I mean, like seriously, like, I mean, you can do that if it's all in good fun, but I want people to like be respectful and have open conversation. And I want to create that somehow. I'm not sure how I'm doing it, but regardless, me and Chris, we love comic books, read more comic books. We're going to be doing more. There's going to be more emphasis on not just the big 2 and not just the big 3 with Image and Dark. There's going to be more indie stuff, There's going to be more slice of life books. We're going to be tackling comic books more on a more broader basis than just the big two. Granted, our passions lie in the big two. That's what we grew up on and we love, but there's going to be more of an emphasis on that stuff too. So don't remember, if you're like, you just read superhero comics, there is different comics that we'll be covering in the future. Chris, you want to add something?
I might even get Paul to read a Star Trek comic.
I'll read Star Trek if you pay me. Anyway,
no. You know what we should do? We should ask our buddy Justin to join us for a really good series I'm thinking of.
If I'm lucky, which you've already told me he would do this, he will be coming on at some point. Not in the way you're thinking, though. I'll tell you later. But Justin will be hosting a show at some point. I'll just say that. I'll explain later. You'll understand what I mean when I say that. Right. But hopefully, actually, I'm going to tease this. It could happen as soon as in a couple weeks. But we'll see. I feel 85% sure it's going to happen. And the announcement will be fun. You already know what I'm going to announce. But
do I?
Yeah, you do. He's just going to help me. Let's leave it at that. So
I know. Okay.
If you're curious what I'm talking about, you'll probably know around April 14th, 15th, around that time, we're going to be announcing something hopefully cool. Hopefully. I don't want to say for sure because you'll understand why I don't want to say for sure when I announce it. So
hopefully I can get my shot by then.
Finally. Yes. Let's get back to normal. Let's do this. So anyway, thank you everyone who liked the video, even after you watch this afterwards or whatever. Thank you. Please subscribe, hit the like button. I know I hate saying it, but just please, please, because again, I'm just trying to build the audience of comic books. I want to make people have fun and do all that stuff. And
have fun with us. It'll be
exactly. Have fun with us. Fun. So, and I also, this is for sure, I will be dropping a new short view video on the comic series Erratic on Friday, I think Thursday or Friday. So that'll be showing up soon. That's a lot of fun. If you like the short view videos, it's going to be on there. So follow us on Twitter also at the Binge Comic. And follow me on, you probably already follow me if you're watching this, but if you're not, Herman22 at 2 N's, aka P Thug. Chris, where they can find you?
At Chris Clow, ChrisClow, and working on a couple of other new backup features for Comics on Consoles, reviewing all 3 2020 video games that came out for Marvel.
Nice. And again, thank you everyone for coming on the show and leaving comments. And I honestly, you guys mean everything. And I'm just extremely grateful for everyone. So, man, you guys are awesome. And as Chris, please, as we leave,
read more comics.
Thank you.